Anyway, I want to talk about this Erik Ten Hag, Jadon Sancho thing because I have a theory here, and I think you're gonna have to sit down when I talk about the Rasmus thing. But I think when you look at it like this, it's really interesting what was said at the weekend by Erik Ten Hag in relation to Jadon Sancho. Now, many people will say, I've had enough of talking about Sancho. He's at Dortmund now. And I think Erik Ten Hag agrees with you. But let me just give you a brief history lesson. After the Arsenal game, Erik Ten Hag was asked why Jadon Sancho wasn't on the bench. And he basically alluded to the fact that he hadn't had a good week training. Jadon Sancho then put a post out saying, I have trained well, and it caused a load of trouble. It was a lot worse than that, but we don't really need to revisit. And subsequently, he hasn't played or trained with the first team ever since. Erik Ten Hag had an interview on Sunday with Sky that nobody really picked up on because we had such a big game. What he said is actually amazing, stunning, brutal, you could say. Could you have handled the situation differently with Jadon Sancho, Erik? He's now at Dortmund, but after he signed for Manchester United, so really a year before Erik even came, there was always issues. All the way through his time at Manchester United, there have been issues. So his stay at United so far is not a success. Now he's going to Dortmund. I wish him the best, and we hope he does well. So they're Erik Ten Hag's words. He said, after he was signed, there were issues before I even came. And throughout his whole time at Manchester United, there have been issues. And his stay at United has not been a success. That's stronger than he didn't train well this week. That is Ten Hag defiant and saying, look, he had these issues before I even came here. They've continued while I've been here, and he's not been very good here. So he's gone to Dortmund, and we wish him we wish him success. He was then asked if he apologised, would there have been a different outcome? Yes, we've said that before. He knows what he should do. We've made it very clear. It was clear and obvious as well that his performance was not where it needed to be. He's at Dortmund now. It's time to move forward. So, look, I think it is time to move forward, but I don't think a lot of people were aware of that interview that Ten Hag did with Sky because it was on Sunday and we obviously had the Spurs game. But he's effectively come out and said, and drawn a line underneath it. And what he said is worse than what he said after the Arsenal game. So he's basically saying, I'm not taking responsibility for Sancho. I didn't buy him. Before I even came here, there were issues. Those issues continued. He's not performed on the pitch. And now he's gone to Dortmund. And if he'd apologised, yes, things could have gone differently. He knew that. He didn't do it. But ultimately, his performances haven't been good enough. And now he's at Dortmund. I think we need to move on. I think there's this just myth that Ten Hag has ruined Sancho when quite clearly he hasn't. There has been issues before that. But the bottom line is we need Sancho to go and do well at Dortmund because whatever the future is, whether he's sold or coming back, we need him to get playing football. So that's a positive. And secondly, in his time at Manchester United, he just wasn't good enough. So we are where we are. The bigger message I would say is, and there's a contradiction and there's a hypocrisy in the fan base here. People want Ten Hag out, and people who want Ten Hag out will side with Sancho. But Ten Hag wanted Greenwood to stay. And the people who want Sancho to stay, I've seen them on social media, they want Greenwood back. So Ten Hag wanted Greenwood to stay, and he wanted Sancho to go. So are you hypocrites? Because you don't like what's happened to Sancho because you don't like Ten Hag. But then Ten Hag wanted Greenwood to stay, and you want Greenwood to stay. So you're hypocrites at the end of the day. Or actually, should you live your lives where you don't just jump from one extreme to the other and you realise that life is multifaceted? Ten Hag has made big decisions, and he needs to make bigger decisions. The Ronaldo decision was brutal. The De Gea decision was brutal. The Sancho decision was brutal. And we need a lot more of those brutal decisions. I would say we talk about Ten Hag maybe not having a great season, and he's not, but he had a very, very good first season. And in relation to clearing the shit or the deadwood or just clearing players, he has actually been quite forthright and he has been quite defiant. And that's the reason I wanted to draw attention to those quotes about what he said about Sancho, because it gets lost. You know, you have 3 or 4 months where nothing was really said by Sancho or Ten Hag and people just keep putting rumours out. Sancho goes to Dortmund, gets an assist. Ten Hag gives an interview why he's gone there. Let's draw a line on it and move on. But let's not forget that there is some ruthless brutalness going on, and we need to see a lot more of it, in my opinion. This is coming out in the last few minutes from the Manchester Evening News. Now, reserve your opinions on this, because the headline is Sir David Brailsford is planning brutal changes. Now, this, to me, when I read that, I get excited, because I think brutal change at Manchester United is coming. That means ruthless. What's a bigger word, ruthless or brutal? Either or. Let me know in the chat. But that, to me, means brutal means it's going to be horrific, you know. And I'm thinking about, we might sell some players that nobody thinks are sellable, which is exactly what I think needs to happen at United. But it doesn't necessarily read like that. When you see what's been said in the Manchester Evening News, they say changes are planned at Manchester United as Ineos prepare to assume control of the football club. So David Brailsford is sounding out former staff at Manchester United as the Ineos group prepares to make sweeping changes. Brailsford is conducting thorough due diligence, and a source has suggested the changes at United could be brutal. United sources say Brailsford has been attending meetings this month to gauge the performance challenge at United, whose title drought is certain to tick past 12 years. And although Ineos plan to hire a sporting director and potentially a head of recruitment, the incumbent football director, John Murtagh, wants to remain at the club, and a club source has said it was in the balance as to whether Murtagh could stay in a more administrative role. United have backed manager with investment of more than 400 million on signings, and sources have stressed they were tracking certain targets before the Dutchman was appointed in April 2020. However, Brailsford and John Blanc, the Ineos chief executive, are due to join the United Football Board, and Blanc and Brailsford, accompanied by Sir Jim, have done a few meetings. And that's it. That's it. So, you know, that's the brutal change in relation to Manchester United, and that's the article. Little bit disappointed that that's an exclusive. Man United are apparently going to have brutal changes, and then the article talks that John Murtagh might stay. If the definition of Man United's brutal is to allow John Murtagh to stay, I'd love to know what friendly means. You probably get a bloody hand job or something. I don't. If that's brutal, I don't know what to say. Brutal changes coming. John Murtagh might stay in an admin role. What are they going to do? Don't give him a computer role. Although he does work 6 till 10, so you know you could maybe put him on the front desk and open up for longer. But I don't know what brutal means, and to be honest with you, I think what it means is it's more what I mentioned last night. When Ineos and brutal are being mentioned in that particular article, I think we're talking about sackings. I think we're talking about people being sacked. I don't think we're talking about players. I don't think we're talking about recruitment. I think we're talking about, you know, sackings and streamlining and saving money. So there we go. Goldbridge, that's the end of the clip. I'm sure you enjoyed it. In fact, I bet that's the best clip you've ever watched. So there's no reason not to subscribe to the channel, click the bell icon so you never miss a clip again. In fact, smash a like on the video, because we all know only legends like videos, and you are all legends. So please smash a like on the video, and we will see you again on the next one. Thank you very much for watching, as always.